What up, what up, what up? This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome to the channel today, guys. I know that we were going to start at 7:45, but I was getting a little impatient, so I figured I'd start about 7 minutes early. 7 minutes early. We have a lot to get into. I honestly have not been with you guys since Sunday, when the Philadelphia Eagles went on to beat the Denver Broncos 30-13. What a phenomenal game by Jalen Hurts, huh? Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal game in that game, coming off his game against the LA Chargers. Now, obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles lost the game against the LA Chargers, but Jalen Hurts made improvements in that game, and then he looked even better against the Denver Broncos. In Denver, Mile High, where the air is thinner, so it's harder for our bigger guys, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, all of the guys, all the visiting team, pretty much the visiting team. Anytime that you play the Denver Broncos, it's really hard to play against them and beat them at home because of the Mile High Stadium and the thin air up there in the mountains. So, but the Philadelphia Eagles were able to come out on top. The Philadelphia Eagles were able to come out like the better prepared team. Vic Fangio was pretty much outcoached by Nick Sirianni. The Philadelphia Eagles again had a huge day on the ground, running the football, 200 plus yards, and anytime that you can get, 150 plus yards rushing as a team, you know that you're doing something right. But the Philadelphia Eagles, this is the second game in 3 games where they were able to rush for over 200 yards. Obviously, the Detroit Lions being the first of those games, and the LA Chargers, against the LA Chargers, they got close to 200. Didn't quite get 200, but they did against the Denver Broncos, who were coming off of a stellar defensive performance against the Dallas Cowboys the week before. So, yeah, I gotta tip my hat to the entire Philadelphia Eagles team right now. There were times where it didn't look as good on defense, but then again, the defense did buckle down. Obviously, what's a game for the Philadelphia Eagles without a couple of Derek Barnett penalties? And of course, we did get those. We got the offsides by Derek Barnett, and then we also got the roughing the passer penalty by Derek Barnett and on 3rd and long. So that's obviously not something that we want moving forward. We've talked about this. We know this. Derek Barnett continues to aggravate the hell out of us Eagles fans and probably his fellow defensive linemen as well. The penalties for Derek Barnett has to stop. However, with that said, as far as the penalties are concerned, the Philadelphia Eagles are nowhere near how bad they were with penalties as they were in the beginning of the season. So they're a lot more disciplined when it comes to penalties. They're a lot more efficient on the ground, on offense. And they've just been playing some phenomenal football as of late. Over the last 3 weeks, since Nick Sirianni started running the football and dedicating the offensive game plan to the run, the Philadelphia Eagles have been playing winning football, guys. The Philadelphia Eagles have been playing winning football. They are 2-1 in the last 3 games. The last 3 games being the last 3 games that the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni has dedicated the offensive game plan to running the football. Obviously, we know that. We know that this is working. When we run the football, the offensive line plays great. When we run the football, the offensive line plays great. The offensive line already does play pretty well, regardless of whether we're passing or whether we're running. But when we run the football, the offensive line plays great. So we're getting a lot out of our 2nd-round rookie draft pick, Landon Dickerson. We're getting a lot out of our backups. You know what I mean? Jordan Mailata obviously is continuing to progress. Lane Johnson is being Lane Johnson. Jack Driscoll is playing well in his 2nd year in the league. So there's a lot to be excited about with this team moving forward. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean, oh yeah, we're going to go off and we're going to win out, the rest of the season. Could that happen? It could happen. It very well could happen. I don't think it's going to happen because here's the thing. The Philadelphia Eagles defense continues to be a thorn in everyone's side. Which defense is going to show up? Now, obviously, the defense that showed up against the Denver Broncos is the defense that we prefer. You know what I mean? Is the defense that we prefer. The defense that showed up against the Detroit Lions is the defense that we prefer. The defense that showed up against the Los Angeles Chargers, you can take that defense, you can pluck it out of a cornfield and throw it off into outer space, because I never want to see that piss poor play out of our defense ever again. That's the kind of play that gets your defense coordinator fired. And that's a hot topic. That's obviously been a hot topic this season. But here's the thing is, I think we want Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, to be the right guy. I think we want him to be the right guy. We just need to see more consistency when it comes to putting out a good product for your defense when it comes time to play the game. So if they can find consistency, with the defense that performed against the Denver Broncos, then hey, we might be onto something. But here's the thing. Here's what we know for sure. Here's a couple of facts. Nick Sirianni is progressing, and Jalen Hurts is progressing. And then the two of them are progressing as a young quarterback head coach duo. And that, my friends, is a good sign for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's the thing, though. Is Jalen Hurts going to continue to be consistent? Is Jalen Hurts going to continue to improve? Is Jalen Hurts going to continue to progress? These are the same questions that we've been asking ourselves all season long. So if Jalen Hurts can continue to get better, and we're going to touch on this a little bit because there's been quite a few nuggets that have been put out this week about Jalen Hurts and about kind of his study and his strategy and his mental workouts off the field. We're definitely going to go into that. If he can continue to improve, continue to progress, continue to get better, then there's a possibility he could be the guy next year. I'm not saying he's going to be. In fact, I haven't even turned my back on the idea of us drafting a quarterback in the first round this offseason. But the only reason for that is because I have not seen consistency from Jalen Hurts' progression and improvement for a long enough period of time to be able to turn on my back on us possibly drafting a quarterback in the first round. But here's the thing. Everybody wants to make a big deal about this quarterback draft class and how it's not, top notch. There's not really an elite quarterback like there has been. There's not an elite quarterback prospect like there has been. Well, we don't know that yet, and I'll continue to beat this with a drum until the drum can no longer make noise. There's so many opportunities between now and the 2022 NFL draft for these prospects of all positions to increase their draft stock. So, but here's the thing. Jalen Hurts looked phenomenal against the Broncos. He continues to heat up with Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith obviously wearing an elbow brace in that game, kind of looked like a cyborg, but hey, he still got the job done. That's 2 games back to back for Devontae Smith, where he has increased his production, where he has looked good, where he looks like he's going to be 1,000-yard rookie wide receiver and is going to live up to his draft stock. So I'm really excited about that. Some other big news, obviously, Miles Sanders is now in the 21-day window, so the Eagles have 21 days to activate him to the active roster. So that is good. That's pointing signs to Miles Sanders returning, and obviously we're coming off the heels of Jordan Howard getting his deal and him signing to the active roster. So I mean, when Miles Sanders comes back, it's going to be Miles Sanders and it's going to be Jordan Howard, and Nick Sirianni said as much in his press conference either today or yesterday. When Miles returns, he is going to be the starter. There's no questions about that. Miles Sanders is the guy. He is the dude. He is the lightning to Jordan Howard's thunder, and the Philadelphia Eagles should continue to ride this out, this run game. Obviously, the success that they've had on the ground, because it's setting up the offense for so many things that lead to success. And I'm talking about play action. I'm talking about lining the quarterback up under center and not knowing if he's going to run, if he's going to hand the ball off or run it, or in Jalen Hurts' case, because he is a mobile quarterback, run it himself. Here's the other thing too. A traditional running offense does help Nick Sirianni set up the RPO shit that he wants to do. And how he didn't know this in the beginning of the season is beyond me. I have no answers to that. It's honestly a mystery. But if the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts continue to improve, continue to show that they're getting better 1% every day, as they like to say, then we have a lot to look forward to. Touching on Jalen Hurts. So obviously Jalen Hurts came out this week and said that he has a really close relationship with the Manning family. Obviously, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, the Mannings in general. But came out and said that he gets tips and advice and things like that, and critiques from Peyton Manning. I don't want to make a big deal about this, but honestly, I'm one of those people that goes out, who believes that we should be hearing this a lot more from starting caliber players in the NFL. I'm not sure why we don't. Obviously, we heard about Jalen Hurts, practicing with Russell Wilson and practicing with Deshaun Watson in the offseason. And that's great. I was excited when I heard those things. And again, I feel like there should be more NFL players doing that, learning from the people who have had success, at the position before them. So, but here's the thing: it needs to translate to the field. And obviously, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, Jalen Hurts has gotten better. He has showed improvements. And when it comes to passing the ball, when it comes to reading the defenses, he's doing a really good job. He's been doing a really good job of that over the past couple weeks. So I hope it's paying off. But again, I gotta echo this: is consistency. I need to see more. And I definitely do want to see more. Now, let's get to the Philadelphia Eagles matchup this week. Obviously, they're playing the Saints. The Philadelphia Eagles are playing at home. So the New Orleans Saints are visiting the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles have not won a home game yet this season. They've been road warriors up to this point. But here's the thing: Jalen Hurts got his first NFL victory over the 10-2 Saints last year in Philadelphia. So, so can we see a repeat? Well, I hope so. Jalen Hurts is definitely a better quarterback than he was then. Has a better understanding of the game plan, of the playbook, things of that nature. So I hope that we can see a repeat. I hope that the Philadelphia Eagles can come out and beat the New Orleans Saints in Philadelphia and get their first home victory over a playoff caliber team. It would do wonders. It would do wonders for this team, their confidence, the morale moving forward as the Philadelphia Eagles. After the New Orleans Saints game, the competition is pretty weak. So you get a win over Denver, you get a win over New Orleans, and you carry that into the rest of the season. And then pretty much the only playoff caliber team that you have left to play is the Dallas Cowboys in Week 17. So could it do magical things for the Philadelphia Eagles? It very well could. Philadelphia Eagles have to win a home game at some point in this year, or they don't. But I would hope that they do. The New Orleans Saints, they are bringing in the number one rush defense in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles, over the last 3 games, have been up at the top, if not I think they've actually been number one in rushing offense over the last 3 games. The Philadelphia Eagles have been. So technically, you have the number one ranked rush defense coming into Philadelphia, playing the number one rush offense over the last 3 games in the Philadelphia Eagles. So something's got to give. Here's my thing about that is the Eagles find many ways to be the number one rushing offense over the last 3 games. They found many ways. Obviously, one of those ways is having a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts, and then also the reemergence of Jordan Howard is another one, and then Boston Scott is obviously another aspect to that successful run game. So there's multiple ways. There's multiple ways that the Eagles have found success on the ground over the last 3 weeks, and now there's a possibility that we might be getting Miles Sanders back this week, which is also going to shake things up. So my thing is I think that the number one ranked rushing offense over the last 3 games is going to pull out the victory in that matchup over the number one ranked rush defense. And what I mean by that, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the New Orleans Saints this Sunday 24-13. 24-13. That's where I go with that. Whoever is in the chat, please say hello. Please say hello. But obviously, guys, it is Thursday, so we do have a game going on right now. So let's take a quick break about talking about the other topics that we have on hand, and let's talk about this game for a second. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Between the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons that are desperately trying to hold on for dear life to that 7th playoff wild card spot. The New England Patriots are winning 13-0 right now, and it is the top of the third quarter. So, talk about a boring game. It's pretty boring. It's a pretty boring game. However, I am actually surprised by the fact that the Atlanta Falcons have only let up 13 points up to this point. Coming off that, the New England Patriots win this past week or this past Sunday has been, I would expect Mac Jones to continue that hot streak. Damien Creative, Dad, what's up, man? What's up? Welcome to the chat. How are you feeling about this week's game? Philadelphia Eagles versus New Orleans Saints. Obviously we're back at home. We have not yet won a home game. So is this week going to be the week where we actually finally get a home, where we actually get a win at home? Damien Creative says, watching the game. Very cool. Very, very cool. I don't have it pulled up. Quite yet. I really cannot wait. I really cannot. Damien Creative says, hoping for the win. Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, obviously, we got to get a home win at some point during this season. So hopefully it comes against the Saints. I think that'd be really awesome. It would help, carry. It would give us a boost of confidence. I think, moving into the latter part of the season. So And I'm really hoping that Miles Sanders gets the go this week. I know that he is back at practice, so that's good. And I hope that once Miles Sanders does come back, that we continue to run the football. It's been the recipe for success for the Philadelphia Eagles over the last 3 games. It's a winning formula. We're 2-1 over the last 3 games. The last 3 games being, obviously, we started running the football a lot. Against Detroit. Beat Detroit, almost beat the LA Chargers. And obviously we put a smackdown on the Denver Broncos. They should stay with the hot hands at running back. Yeah, I mean Jordan Howard. Yeah, I don't think that even with Miles Sanders coming back, I don't think that they're gonna, steer away from giving the ball to Jordan Howard. In fact, I just don't understand why. He wasn't on the active roster from week 1. We've gone over this a million times, and we've talked about this a ton over the season. But they had a huge game plan, or they had a huge plan for him, in the offseason, and mixed him in with the ones with Miles Sanders, and then he gets deactivated, or he gets sent to the practice squad. And then all of a sudden, obviously you bring him up, and of course he's doing well. Of course he's doing well. Damien Creative says, "Yep, didn't like declaring Sanders the starter." Well, I assume you're talking about Nick Sirianni's press conference. Miles Sanders is Miles Sanders is the starter. He is the starter. I think if he were to do it any other way, it would have, thrown some stuff in the air that you don't necessarily need. If Miles Sanders comes back, he's the starter, but that doesn't mean you're going to take away from Jordan Howard. And I don't think that they have a plan to do that. My thing is I think they should find a way to use all 3 backs, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, and Boston Scott. And then they can continue to mix in Kenny Gainwell in the 4th quarter like they've been doing. It's just you just have to have good packages for Boston Scott, when your other running back comes back. Damien Creative says, "Not saying Sanders is not the better back." Yeah. No, I know. But obviously Jordan Howard obviously has put up more production on the field. But then again, is that you can't put that on Miles Sanders. You know what I mean? You can't put that on Miles Sanders. We weren't running the football a lot, and before he went down. We started to against the Raiders because that's when he got hurt, and then they kind of abandoned it after that first drive. So Damien Creative says, "Just saying the ground game has been phenomenal." Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And this is and again, yeah, you're right. It's because of Jordan Howard. It's because of Boston Scott, and it's been because of Jalen Hurts, honestly. I think the ground game has been phenomenal because, it really started when we started lining up Jalen Hurts over center. And so, therefore it increases the chances of the defensive line and the linebackers anyway, of not knowing where the handoff is going to go, which direction. And so I can just imagine, I hope that when Miles Sanders comes back, he'll just fit right in there. And we saw, and that's what I'm saying is we saw some of that against the Las Vegas Raiders. Like that first drive, he had what, 5 carries for like 30 yards on that first drive before he went down on the second drive. So he was on pace. He was on pace to have a really, really big game that week, and he just happened to get injured. So I think that he'll fit in just fine. Damien Creative says, "Ain't broke, doesn't need fixing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Right. Yeah. No. Again. Yeah. And it's gonna be up to Nick Sirianni. Honestly, it's gonna be up to Nick Sirianni. Honestly, and his recognition of what's working and what's not. And I think when it comes to Boston Scott and it comes to Jordan Howard, he's done a really good job of that. I think it was against the LA Chargers where they started off on offense with Boston Scott and it didn't really do much. And then finally on their second offensive drive, they started going to Jordan Howard, and then they were able to tie up the football game. Damien Creative says, "How about Sanders, Howard, and a 2-back set?" Yeah. No, I mean, I love that idea. Yeah, it's Nick Sirianni calls it 21 personnel. So I think here's my thing is and I've spoken about this before, is I think that was Nick Sirianni's plan. I think that was Nick Sirianni's plan, when they were putting stuff together in the offseason during training camp and things like that. But, we'll never know truly why Jordan Howard got put on the practice squad. We'll never know truly. And I still think it was a Howie Roseman thing, but we'll never know. We'll never know. Because Nick Sirianni talked about 21 personnel, in the offseason after he got hired, during training camp. We know that obviously Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders being on the field at the same time has worked in the past when you've used Jordan Howard as like a blocker in front of Miles Sanders, or I mean, you could literally put both those guys. You could line Jalen Hurts up in the shotgun. You could have Miles Sanders on the left, Jordan Howard on the right, and then give Jalen Hurts the ability to decide where he wants to go with that football. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to open up more opportunities when Miles Sanders gets back, because he's a running back you can't take off the field, and obviously Jordan Howard has been a running back that you can't take off the field this season when he's got playing time. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things. Damien Creative says, "Who do you think catches the ball better?" Oh boy. Between Howard and Miles Sanders. Well, it's hard to come up with an answer to that without thinking about Miles Sanders' inability to catch the ball in 2020. At this point in time, I mean, here's the thing: is I've seen in Miles Sanders' rookie season, we saw him catch that dart from Carson Wentz that was like 40 yards out in the back of the end zone as he was falling down. And I still remember that play like it was yesterday. So I know that Jordan Howard is not one of those tough yardage backs that can't catch the ball, but he can actually catch the ball pretty well for his, for the type of running back that he is. But I think that when everything is running smoothly and working well in Miles Sanders' psyche, and for Miles Sanders as a player or a running back as a whole, I think he's the better catching back. But if we were talking about all three of them, Boston Scott, or no, all four of them, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, I would say Kenny Gainwell. I think it would be Kenny Gainwell first. It would be Boston Scott second. Then it would be Miles Sanders and then Jordan Howard. Kenny Gainwell made a living in college, catching the football, and so he's the best receiving back that we have. God, the Falcons look helpless. Yeah, they're not very good. They have a better record than we do, but yeah, they're not very good. One of my loyal subscribers, obviously Toxic Falcons, he's constantly complaining about the defense, how they need more defensive players, and they do. It's been a problem. Their defense has been a problem for 4 years now. So, and they'll probably need to move on from Matty Ice. At some point. So, but we'll see when. I don't believe that this is probably the best season for them to do that, but it will have to be discussed. Yeah, and you got Mac Jones. I mean, you got rookie quarterback Mac Jones for the Patriots, 15 of 17 for 146 yards and a touchdown, having another really good game. I'm really impressed. With the turnaround that Bill Belichick has been able to orchestrate for this team. They started off. What did they start off? They started off 1-4, I believe, something like that, or 2-4. Yeah, I think they started off 2-4, and then they won their last 4. And that was as of this past Sunday. Damien Creatives is sad because he's not the problem. Oh no, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Matt Ryan is still putting up Matt Ryan type numbers, year in and year out, and he's not that old either. Other than age is inevitable, I don't think he's not that old. I think he's like 34 or something like that. So, man. Yeah, that rookie running back for the New England Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, is pretty good. He's pretty good. Damien Creatives is arguably Belichick, the best that's ever been. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean he's doing a phenomenal job this year. Obviously last year was a down year for him, but I mean he had Cam Newton and whoever else at quarterback, and so How are you feeling about Jalen Hurts and his progression over these last few games? I think as long as he continues to get, as long as he continues to improve and progress, you know, I think he should be able to compete for a spot next season. You know, compete for the spot next season. This is only Bill Belichick's second losing season ever. Well, as the New England Patriots head coach, this is his second losing season as the New England Patriots head coach. He was awful for the I think he was with the Browns before New England. Gaming Creative says Hurts continues to impress me. Yeah, I think look, if he continues to progress as a passer and continue to, you know, try and improve upon his going through his reads when he's in the pocket and not trying to escape right away, you know, he'll only continue to get better. Did you hear about how he came out and said that he has a really close relationship with the Mannings, and that Peyton kind of gives him critique and advice and things like that? I'm not trying to make a big deal out of that, but you know, I'm surprised that we don't hear about that more often from professional athletes. You know, looking up to people who have had success at the position before them, and you know how it helps them. So in the offseason, obviously, you also had Jalen Hurts working out with Deshaun Watson and working out with Russell Wilson and things like that. And now we're hearing about him and how he has a close relationship with Peyton Manning and da 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 da. And I mean, I don't want to make a big deal about it, but obviously, you know, those are things that can lead to success. You know, I think he's earned another year. I'm not ready to go that far. I do think, however, that he's earned the right to at least compete for the starting spot in the offseason. I think it's really going to depend on who they bring in. If they're able to bring in anybody who is, you know, outlandishly much more talented than he is. And obviously we're talking about like a Deshaun Watson or a Russell Wilson, because that's been thrown out there too. I don't really want Deshaun Watson in Philadelphia. I don't even think Deshaun Watson wants to be in Philadelphia. So, but Russell Wilson, I wouldn't mind all day long. But hey, if Jalen Hurts continues to get better and continues to show that he can get better, then sky's the limit, honestly, you know. Damien Creative says, can't blame Belichick for the Browns. Yes, on the Manning relationship. Damien Creative says, Browns front office has always been a mess. Yeah, well, there was a couple of good years that they've had. I mean, when John Dorsey was the GM over there, after he left the Kansas City Chiefs, John Dorsey did some good things. So, you know, but other than that, yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, with John Dorsey there, you know, they were able to flip a couple of first-round draft picks for more first-round draft picks, and then they were able to get, you know, players like Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb, you know, Baker Mayfield is included in that. Jabril Peppers, safety Jabril Peppers, who's now on the New York Giants. You know, Greedy Williams, like all of these really good, you know, players. So, but obviously really hasn't amounted to much, at least not yet anyway. And now they're not sure if they want to commit to Baker Mayfield. So Damien Creative says there isn't a draft pick better than Jay. Better than Jalen? Well, we don't. Here's my thing: is there are quarterbacks that are expected to go in the first round. There are quarterbacks expected to go in the first round, and they have a ton of opportunities between now and April's draft to improve their draft stock, to impress people and analysts and teams and organizations and fans. Patrick Mahomes was a late riser. You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes was a late riser. Carson Wentz was a late riser. So there's my opinion is that it's funny because before this season, before this college season, like everybody was going crazy about Sam Howell out of North Carolina and Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma and all that jazz. All these quarterbacks, Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, like all of these guys, and now that the season has actually taken place and they're playing a little bit less than what they did last year, fans are kind of jumping, off the wagons for each one of these quarterbacks, but I'm not ready to do that yet. Atlanta with the pick. Yeah, but can they do anything with it, though, is the thing. Can they do anything with it? We will see. See what I mean? Browns, Mayfield. Well, Baker Mayfield was considered the top, like the one of the best quarterbacks coming out of that draft class. So, and he was a phenomenal college quarterback. You know what I mean? So even him and Patrick Mahomes, I believe, did they come out of the same draft? I feel like they did. Damien Creative says Atlanta has no deep threat. Well, they did have Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley is taking leave due to mental stuff. So Atlanta fans are absolutely pissed about it. But I mean, players have to take care of their mental well-being as well. So that's my thought on that. Still 13-0. Atlanta driving. I don't even know these guys' names. Q Allison. Left tackle to New England's 20 for 5 yards. I feel like they're also an injury-ravaged team, too. Damon Creator says, what mental stuff? Losing? No. I'm sure it's private and personal. Just like Lane Johnson's. Which we should be getting. Speaking of the Eagles' offensive line, we should be getting Brandon Brooks back soon, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was only supposed to be out about 10 weeks. And that's the thing too, is like once Brandon Brooks comes back, do the Philadelphia Eagles go with Brandon Brooks? I mean, I feel like this offensive line is playing really, really well. Jack Driscoll and them boys, Jack Driscoll, Landon Dickerson, all these guys are playing really well next to each other, and they're progressing and getting better. And that's what I like about this offense. It's the one thing that you can see is it seems like each section of the offense at least is getting better. Is getting better, except for Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor is drives me insane. And we could have had Justin Jefferson. But no, we took Jalen Reagor, Monte Reagor's son. Jalen Reagor, who hasn't done shit. Although, I guess the remedy for Jalen Reagor's horrible play is Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins doing okay. They just got to continue to get him the ball, find a way to get him the ball. Damon Creative says, yes, Brooks, he's a true number one. Yeah, but again, do you want to mess up that chemistry that is all along the offensive line right now? I get it that Brandon Brooks is a true number one, and he's awesome, and he's great, and he's a really talented player, but do you really want to mess with that? See, 4th and 1. 4th and 1, and then a turnover on downs. See, I called it. I said that they weren't going to do anything with that turnover, and lo and behold, they did not. Awful. You got 1 yard to go. Why didn't you just sneak it with Matt Ryan? Why didn't you just sneak it with Matt Ryan? It just doesn't make sense. Sometimes the things that teams do just don't make sense. I mean, the Patriots defense is playing phenomenal right now. I mean, Matt Ryan is 15 for 22 for 97 yards. I mean, that's horrible. That's horrible. But yeah, my prediction for the game is Eagles come out on top. They get their second win in a row against the Saints, and they win 24-13 at home. They get their first home victory of the season, and they win 24-13. The Philadelphia Eagles ground game continues to do well, and Jalen Hurts continues to impress to earn that first home victory. But this is DB Talking now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Dad, thank you so much for joining in. I do appreciate it. One love, and have a good night, and go Birds, baby. And just before we leave, actually, Damien Creative says 24-21 Eagles. I like that. That's the same score as it was last year when we beat the Saints. So maybe it will happen again. It will make sense if it does. But all right. Again, DB Talking now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you, Damien Creative, Dad, for joining in. One love, and go Birds, baby.